So for today, we will start with an overview of the call. And you can see, and you received also the agenda. And so let's start with overview. So first of all, I would like to know you, to inform you about how can I help you. So as a national contact point, we can support you in different ways. First of all, informative. In informative way, you can sign up for the news and receive weekly news on Marie Curie actions. Then you can check the webpage of Latvian Council of Science and also social networks. Second part of my job is advising people. So this is by individual consultations, or if you have your unit or faculty or lab interested, then also I can consult you in a group format or a consortium, for example. And the third part is training and information days, trying to fill the gaps that you have in your knowledge and your understanding about the program. So this is also what I cover. And if any questions arise on these issues, feel free to contact me. Another part that is publicly available is a contact points project. So it's funded from the EU. And in this page, you can find handbooks on each call and also submission guides that might also help you to understand the program. So feel free to also look up for this. One more thing is Marie Curie Alumni Association. This is more important for people who have been part of the project, especially postdoctoral fellowships. And after they have finished their project, they can join the Alumni Association. And this is more like for community building and contacts. So why I have chosen this target group to invite both supervisors, project units as primary focus group. So as I told you, I'm an NCP for Marie Curie only starting from this year. All the years before I had other hats, so I had to split my duties and my energy on different topics. And this year I want to focus on postdoctoral fellowships call for many reasons. So first of all, Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowships call is very simple, and it is a great opportunity for hosting institutions, for universities to learn how to coordinate. And this is the easiest way to learn this, by hosting postdoctoral fellowships. As first of all, from the project point of view, Marie Curie program has a very simple unit cost. Oh, you don't see the presentation? Oh, why are you not telling me? Sorry. Of course. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Oh my God, why didn't you tell me? Oh, sorry. If something happens like this, please tell me, because I'm alone and I cannot see myself from, I can see only what I see here, so my presentation. So if anything like this happens, please just raise your voice straight ahead, okay? So why I wanted to focus on postdoctoral fellowships this year, because in my point of view, and I see also comparing to other Horizon Europe projects, this is the easiest part to start with if an institution is interested of gaining coordination's role. And hopefully, finally, you can see the slide. Here I have gathered information about postdoctoral fellowships success in Baltics, in Horizon Europe. So as you see, we are unfortunately for now lacking behind, as there was almost no interest for this call. And also submissions are lower than in Lithuania and Estonia. So by this year, I would like to really jump in and push a bit our or hosting institutions to host those postdoctoral fellows, that also we can use this opportunity. And about Marie Curie, so as I saw from the registration, we have people who never seen or heard about Marie Curie. So in this program, they are 5 main calls, and there's a 6th from the last year. And the main thing that you need to understand is that for each call, there are different target group. For postdoctoral fellowships, there are postdocs going on a mobility for 2 or 3 years, so it depends on the type of the fellowship. For staff exchange, the main focus group is people who are working in science or related to science. These might be also technicians or senior staff, students, etc. So this is about the staff. So people who are working at the institutions, also private sector might apply, and so on. So this is a mobility between workers, between staff. Doctoral networks covers, so this is a consortium project. Doctoral networks, this is minimum 3 countries and minimum 3 institutions involved in a project to jointly have a doctoral program. And the target group here, of course, are people who have master's degree and they want to obtain a doctoral degree within the project or a bit when the project has ended. MSCA and citizens, so this is a researchers night, as you might know. This is for public outreach. And co-found and Choose Europe for Science, this is a co-founded program for co-founding postdoctoral or doctoral program. And as the title is self-explanatory, this is the only project under Marijas Kirī program, which is not 100% funded. So the institution needs to put in his own or her own money. And Choose Europe for Science is kind of new. It started from 2025, and this project requires that institution covers first or final 2 years of the program, and the commission gives 100%, but only for 2 or 3 years, depending on the length that was chosen. So why Marijas Kirī? It is not just the mistake that the program was called under Marijas Kirī. She was a very famous and very curious, enthusiastic researcher, and she inspired many people, also European Commission, to name the program behind her, so after her. And this also explains the nature of the program. As Marijas Kirī was an innovator, she was very enthusiastic and wasn't afraid of discovering new things. And this is also what the program is looking for. So people who are looking for gaps in the science and wants to push the boundaries and learn something new. Also, this is about the new skills and competencies and for bringing postdocs closer to their independence and becoming true leaders. And also, many people, when I say this, they think that, oh, this is too ambitious for me. I'm not eligible for applying. This is not true. That is why I have few examples prepared for you in the next slide to see what is too ambitious and what is realistic under Marijas Kirī program. So I will have 3 examples. I will read out loud. You need to listen carefully, and then you may vote. Or if you don't want to be involved, then I will just tell you the right answer. So is the idea too ambitious or realistic? So I have 3 examples for that, just to understand what is the feeling about Marijas Kirī and the idea in this program. So the first example, the fellow has a background in chemistry, researching metabolics. The supervisor has a background in biomaterials. The goal of the project is to develop novel biomaterials with incorporated metabolites as a potentially effective and safe strategy to modulate local immune response towards favorable outcomes of surgical bone remediation. So what do you think if this idea is real or too ambitious or over ambitious? What do you say? Kristina, would you like to say something?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
So it's difficult to understand as I am from economic study field, but I think it could be real. Mm-hmm. Maybe my answer will be.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for involvement, and you are right. Yes, so this is a real project funded under Marijas Kirī Fellowships, and here is the acronym, and you can also click and see the link on Cordis website. So exactly, this is the realistic, real, and funded project under Postdoctoral Fellowships, actually individual fellowships, so previous program. Next example. So the fellow has a background in philosophy and researching the European Union. The supervisor has a background in public administration. The goal of the project is to create a bridge between academia and society, advancing solutions to increase the European parties' socially political relevance and bringing the citizens closer to the Union. So what do you think about this project idea?
Can I, Lena?
Yes, please go on.
First of all, I see there is an inconsistency between background of the student or researcher and the supervisor. This I don't like at once. And also, I think this topic is many times has been investigated before. I mean, of related topics. So for me, it's no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. So actually, I ran farther, so you see already that there is a red sign. So exactly, this was not funded. On one side, you are right, Yelena. So the problem in this example is that the goal was too broad. You couldn't understand what exactly is the object of the research. So it was too vague and too broad, so to say. It wasn't easy to understand what exactly the researcher is going to study within 2 or 3 years. So this was European fellowship, 2 years. Maybe the background of the fellow and the supervisor is not the biggest issue here, because if you put the right idea, then it might be eligible and it might be okay. But the question here is, what exactly are you studying and what is the synergy between the supervisor and the postdoc? But unfortunately, yes, so this was too broad and it was not easy to understand what exactly is going to be studied within the second example. So this is a no-go. And the third example, so this will be the longest for me to read out. So the fellow has a background in computational chemistry. The supervisor has a background in physical chemistry. The conceptual focus of the electrocatalysis is on effects governing activity and selectivity through absorption. A recently revealed curvature effect predicts and absorption energies are strongly correlated on the local active site curvature. It is so new that it still lacks experimental verification, and CO absorption is an ideal candidate for such verification because its strong absorption is well known for positioning PT and PD containing catalysts. For instance, such positioning limits the development of direct formic acid fuel cells. Yet, many preliminary computational data implies the hypothesis that curvature increases absorption energies, and therefore it is possible to weaken CO absorption. In this fellowship, I want to verify these predictions in the experimental group of a supervisor in a host institution. So, what about the third example? How do you feel?
I would say that it would be a little bit too ambitious, because the postdoctoral researcher is his background is in computational chemistry, but who will do the main work in the development of these? I don't remember the catalysts or yeah. he will do the computing part, and the rest of the research, who will do that. I think it is a little over ambitious.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I had an idea that you will join this, but you'll be surprised, Elena, because this is a funded project. We might talk in the background afterwards, but this is really a funded project. And I would also like to later on talk about this synergy and these ambitious and real something that might be done realistically. So yes, this is a funded project. It started just, I believe, this year, so it is only at the beginning. And yes, the postdoc is a Latvian, and he's studying, so conducting his fellowship in Spain. So yeah, this is a funded project. So I'm happy that you guessed 2, and the third was so for you to understand that not always it is too ambitious, and sometimes that is too, the description is too simple, that it is not enough. So the border here is a very tricky. So it's not always easy to understand from the first sight, because also I only read a very small part of this. So it's not easy for you also to understand, because you haven't seen the background and the methodology and the state of the art. So this was just a short introduction and a bit to involve you in this process. So let's go further about the call. So officially it was open on 9th of April, but still in the portal, I checked this morning, it's forthcoming. So there are technically some issues that the European Commission needs to solve, but anyway, soon it will be open. So the deadline is 9th of September. And normally it seems that, oh, such a long time, we have months to prepare a proposal, but in reality, we see the latest weeks are very, very harsh and people are in stress. So my suggestion is start early as possible. That is why we have also already training a few days after the deadline, after the opening of the call. So for further steps, the results will be available in February next year. Grant agreements will be signed starting from April next year, and the first fellowships are expected to start in May next year. So also for you to understand, for postdocs to understand how to put the Gantt chart and the beginning of the fellowship. So this is again one thing that I want to tell again and again. So the importance of the hosting institutions and their involvement. So what is the path to successful postdoctoral fellowship? So first of all, it's a hosting institution who talks about herself. So drafting the list of supervisors, preparing expression of interest, and if necessary, inviting me as a national contact point to their institution to present the call, to train the postdocs or whatever. So this is the synergy between a host and the national contact point. Then the host needs to publish this expression of interest. So if you want people to apply, you need to inform about yourself. And also another thing is to think about how you're going to select postdocs. So not everyone who will apply will be selected. So you need some kind of quality assessment, or I don't know, CVs or a small abstract that you will ask for postdocs that they send to you, and you read out and choose who are qualified. Then the potential fellow. So fellow is the main person who prepares the proposal. Of course, a supervisor and the host comes in, as also there are a lot of information required about the hosting arrangements, help, administrative help in the institution, etc. So also the institution needs to come in, and the supervisor also, because the description of supervisors, competences, projects, etc. also is required. So this is a joint work, so to say. So me as a national contact point, I'm happy if I'm involved in all the processes, that as much as possible, just to be there and see if I might help you with something. But the general things are that I'm advising and consulting if you have some unclear questions on definitions, on where to find something, or pre-screen your proposal. against the evaluation criteria and give some improvements, some recommendations for improvements. So feel free to contact me if you want me to read any Marie Curie application that you're involved. Then the supervisor and the host. So this is highly recommended, and I see this from practice that it works. The more people see proposal, the more we can improve it. So don't hold it for yourself. Share with NCP, share with your host institution. If a supervisor is interested, also share with the supervisor. Maybe something might be corrected or improved by pre-screening proposal. And for submission, so there's a surprise this year. Usually it was a postdoctoral fellow who submits the proposal, but when opening guide for applicants for postdoctoral fellowships call 2026, we see that the beneficiary is the one who is submitting the proposal. So I changed this last bracket only a few days ago when I saw this on guide for applicants. We will talk about this a bit later, but just pay attention that host is also involved in submission. So expression of interest, I will quickly jump over this as I already have sent to all the institutions, and this is publicly available on the Latvian Council of Science homepage. But just to show this again, as I saw that only few institutions have this already ready. So expression of interest, this is for the hosting institutions wants to host postdoctoral fellows. So first of all, you need to inform about yourself, and I would like to tell you about opportunities. So first of all, there's a form available here. If you click on here, there's a predefined form that you may just fill in, send out to me. I may distribute to the national contact points elsewhere in Europe. But also there are some other things. You might use also MSCA B2Match platform. I have heard the feedback that this is not the easiest page to use. So choose for yourself. If you're interested, you might use this. If not, there are some other tools again. But just for you to know that this is also an option. And also here if you need a host for non-academic placement, here also companies registered, hosting organizations for fellowships, postdoctoral fellows. Postdoctoral fellows, this is the smallest part, or there has been some changes lately. Need to double check, but at least for posting your offer, this is one of the options. Another thing is Euroaccess platform. This is a very widely used platform where institutions post their hosting offers, and also we as a national contact points, we promote this page for postdoctoral fellows, so those who want to apply, and this is the place where to search for a host. Then I would like to briefly explain the core of the call. So what is postdoctoral fellowships? I already mentioned something. So this is a synergy between three main parts. So the hosting institution, supervisor, and the fellow. So this is a collaboration. All three are involved. In some cases, there are more institutions involved. I will talk about secondments, non-academic placements, and so on. But this is the main core structure of the fellowships. For you to know, there are two different types: European fellowship, and this is only for maximum 2 years. So the host is in Europe or associated country, Horizon Europe. And the global fellowships is a more bit difficult. So this is 3 years, 2 years somewhere in the third country. And the last year is a returning phase when the postdoc is coming back to Europe. And so for the eligibility criteria, a postdoc has to be not more than 8 years of full-time experience in research. So after the PhD, for the calculations, there's a guidance available also on the call page. There's an Excel file with the instructions, and also you might fill in this. So maximum 8 years. This is the eligibility criteria. Sorry, my tongue is not working with me today. For the hosting institutions, so by rules, a hosting institution might be both a private, academic, non-profit, or whatever, but you need to have this experience of hosting postdocs. So it sounds like a fairy tale that everyone can host, but in reality, you need to have this experience, administrative capacity, and of course, a supervisor who is good for the postdoc. And for the supervisors, the recommended experience for becoming a supervisor is that a person has at least one supervision for a doctoral student or one PhD. So this is what the European Commission is suggesting. So the hosting institution, I will be highlighting this a bit more as I want to, for our hosting institutions to think more about this opportunity. So why institution is so important? So first of all, no one else is going to promote you. This is in your hands to promote and attract people, and not only people, but also funded project, gain this coordination experience. As I already told you, Marijas Kirī Fellowship is one of the easiest ones to coordinate, as it requires only one postdoctoral fellow. It is easy to understand the finance. You don't need to do calculations or budgeting. There are unit costs that are already set. So I would recommend starting with this if you want to become a coordinator. Of course, I know that our institutions have coordinated twinnings and different big projects, but still, for those who have no experience in coordination, this is my recommendation to start with postdoctoral fellowships. So as this is, in my opinion, a stepping stone for institution to grow and learn how to become an experienced and very good coordinator for the future. Again, so this is a chance for a host to grow, as also Marijas Kirī and Horizon Europe requires to align their work with different EU policies, and this is also true for the HR and recruitment of researchers, etc. So this is one of the opportunities to learn these things step by step, not already with a huge consortium where you have a lot of administrative work. So a few good examples about how institutions are attracting postdoctoral fellows. So I would like to give one or two examples from each Baltic country. So in Lithuania, we have Vilnius University. A few years ago, I invited them to share their experience, so how they're approaching postdoctoral fellows, what support they have internally, etc. So if you're interested and you don't have anything like this for your institution, just take a look how others are doing, and maybe something will resonate with you and you would like to start something like this in your institution. Next is Estonia. So this is the example of Tartu University. In this example, I really like that they have one dedicated contact person. So this is very easy to reach out if there are some questions. And of course, there's a list of supervisors, description of what is Marijas Kirī Fellowship, some important dates, and so on. So this is very easy to understand and navigate this whole process. And in Latvia, for now, I have found, so sorry if someone else have it, but this was, I put this on Friday. So we have Riga Technical University and University of Latvia who have already done their job, and congratulations and thank you very much for your job. So I found someone on Bit2Match platform, Euroccess, and also on social media. So this is the right approach to start with. And as I told you already, as early you start, as more time you have for qualitative selection of postdocs, and starting early with the good preparation of the proposal. So a bit more about supervisors. So why supervisors are so important? I see a bit a struggle with supervisors. Not always people are willing to join. Maybe the benefits are not that clear, but for postdoctoral fellowship, this is extremely important to have supervisors on board, as this is, first of all, a mandatory part. The project is not possible if there is no supervisor. And also within the project, supervisor is one of the key persons because he or she follows the progress of the fellow, guides him or her, integrates into the team, and this is about all this this environmental thing and the teaching, training, etc. And as I told you already, from this year on, there's a new sentence on the guide for applicants that also a person from the beneficiary, so from the hosting institution, is submitting the proposal. And in brackets, there is written that might be a supervisor. So supervisor is also important in submitting the proposal. And when we talk about the EU policies, there is a guidance available, so guidelines and annex with different examples, different policies, how other institutions and universities in other EU countries, so how are they supporting their supervisors, how are they training, how they train their supervisors, and what is the main policy in other places for this supervisor thing. So here I will leave you the links and feel free also to check if you have no idea about these policies. So motivation to become a supervisor, sometimes it is very hard to tell to experienced researcher that you need to become a supervisor. And so when I start thinking about the motivation behind it, so I listed few things that I might think of. So first of all, for established researchers, especially those who are looking into European Research Council grants, so these are very well-known grants. They are the amount you can receive is starting from 1.5 million for younger researchers up to 2 million for the advanced grant. And in these calls specifically, they're looking into the CV of the experienced researcher and checking, so how are they supporting the new generation of scientists? So I think the more experienced the researcher is, the more advanced, the more important becomes this part of giving the knowledge further. So this is one of the things. And of course, with the new project, with the new collaboration, there are some other things coming in for the benefit of supervisor. So learning again, if the supervisor has no experience previously with the postdoctoral fellowships, this is a chance to learn the project implementation, the general rules, and so on. Also, as the program is under excellence part, this is also about the recognition. So if you are a supervisor for a postdoctoral fellow in Marie Curie program, this is viewed as a very well, and this is recognized. Of course, improvement of skills, and just left here very more to think of. So also some long-term friendships or collaborations or new networks, etc. Just to conclude this and have the main message, so I'm highlighting that this is not only a postdoctoral fellow working alone and preparing his or her proposal. So this is a collaboration, and only when collaborating and when everyone is interested, this brings to success. And also I put here an NCP, so please don't forget about us. We might also help in some cases. We might see something that you have missed. And just even if you're sure that you have everything understood and you clear for your proposal, just to double check or have a security for yourself that everything is fine, just simply share a proposal for pre-screening, for example. There might be some also small but important issues. So now I'd like to turn to the idea of the proposal. So how to think of this. And one of the biggest mistakes is to perceive that postdoctoral fellowship is only purely about the research and the excellence of the research, which is partly true, as the so the core of the project is the research idea and the research itself. But there are so many other important issues that that need to be addressed. And so when we talk about the science part, this is very important to identify knowledge gaps, and both for the postdoctoral fellow. So what are these things that you're really good in, and what is missing? So what do you want to learn for the future? And also when we look at the supervisor, so what is supervisor really good in, and what can he give to the postdoc? Vai varētu lūdzu mikrofonu izslēgt? Paldies. So this is one thing to think about the gaps, as also at the excellence part, you need to identify the state-of-the-art gaps. So what is not studied well, and what can you study in your fellowship? And the second part, which is not purely research part, is about advancement of the postdoctoral fellow, so about his employability, his career, and his career path. So this is like a combination of these two parts, and this is one postdoctoral fellowship. And the approach that I usually suggest using is that think about the fellow between the fellowship and after the fellowship. So if it's a European fellowship, think about perspective of 2 years. So what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to become after 2 or 3 years? So depending, European or global fellowship. When we talk about rules, in working documents, you will see such a thing as expected outcomes. But basically, this is set out by a founder that it's a must to address. And when I talk about these trainings and skills and employability things, so this is not just my thought. This is said by a founder that this is a must to address, as this is one of the key things in the Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī postdoctoral fellowships. And here are 3 points set out by the commission that you, as a postdoctoral, so the person who is writing a postdoctoral fellowship, need to address. So first of all, focus on the skills and competences of a postdoctoral fellow. New ways of thinking. So this is about more interdisciplinarity and combining different methods, approaches, tools, or data of getting this new insight of how to work. And of course, improved networking and communication capacities. So we will talk both today and tomorrow about communication, dissemination, and exploitation. This is also a very important part of the postdoctoral fellowship. So science is the background of all the postdoctoral fellowships project, but there are also so many important aspects that need to be integrated into the project. So for the transferable skills, you will have the link to Eurodoc. So there are so many different skills to consider, and please check this document and see what is good for a postdoc. When we talk about secondments and non-academic placements, so when I showed you the structure of the postdoctoral fellowship, so the main point is that the host, supervisor, and the postdoc, they're collaborating together. But there are some optional things also. When I say optional, so this is not mandatory. This should be put in the proposal only when it's needed and it has an added value to the project. So what it means, so secondment is it's a mobility for some certain time, and for the postdoctoral fellowships 2026, this is exceeded up to 1/2 of the project. Previously, it was 1/3. So please pay attention that now it's up to one half. So half of the project. And this means that a postdoc can go to other institution, other country to learn new skills or competencies or learn about new infrastructure elsewhere than the hosting institution. And the biggest focus here should be that the postdoc is going away to learn something that is not in the host institution. So you need to have, again, a complementary between the host and the secondment host. So something that is missing to the hosting institution only. Putting secondment just for that is not an option. You might lose points if there is no added value for the secondment. And a non-academic placement is another thing, but this is a very different optional mobility. This happens only after the fellowship, after end of the fellowship. So this is extra 6 months after the fellowship. And from the European Commission, there's the extra money for this duration. And this is possible only in member states or associated countries, and only in a non-academic sector. So in private sector, in governmental sector, in NGOs, so non-governmental sector, and so on. And I would like to show you some example. So this is from the funded project, social sciences, so about the pregnancy benefits. And in this project, so the hosting institution was in Slovakia. Secondment was also in Slovakia, and non-academic placement also. What was the added value here in this project? So the secondment host, at the secondment, the institution conducts policy-relevant research tailored to the needs of the government and the other public bodies. So that host, what was the university, do not have this kind of expertise. That is why the postdoc was going on a secondment to this Institute of Labor and Family Research. And the non-academic placement in this project was at the non-governmental organization, so NGO, that was working on promoting gender equality and women's rights. So which is also, the hosting institution do not have this expertise. That is why the postdoc was going on a non-academic placement. So does this make sense? I think yes. So that is why when you consider postdoctoral, so the non-academic placement or a secondment, think of two things. So does your hosting institution have this competence? If no, then you might go for a secondment or a non-academic placement. And also, so how good it goes together with the research topic. Second example is where the project has only a secondment. So the hosting institution in this project is in Spain, in university, and the secondment is in a museum in Norway. And so the added value here, so what the postdoc is learning in this within this secondment, is that the postdoc will be trained how to communicate research results to the wider public via multisensory exhibitions. So a museum has this experience in conducting exhibitions, and a university don't. So this is a great match between a host and this secondment host. And the third example is where only a non-academic placement is involved. So in this project, the host is in Spain. Non-academic placement is also in Spain, but in a company. So as I already told you, this is only in a non-academic placement. And what the postdoc is learning here, so during the placement under the supervision of the host, non-academic placement host, trainings in patrimony digitalization will take place in order to gain new skills and explore the project potential in a digital cultural heritage field. So the company has its own focus, and the university don't have this skill. Can you please close your microphone? Thank you. And now I would like to talk a bit about the EU contributions, so the money involved in this project. I already mentioned that this is kind of easy to manage unit costs in Marijas Kirī program, as you don't need to do any calculations or the management of the budget before applying, as there are preset unit costs already, and there are two different categories, so to say. I would like to draw your attention to the living allowance. There's a star in this area. As per each country, there is a different country correction coefficient, as we have different living standards in different European countries. So for Latvia, the coefficient for this year is 85.6%, and this is the final amount before taxes that a postdoctoral fellow will receive. But let's see by the category. So first part is contribution for the recruited researcher. So there are three categories. Two of them are set by default. So the living allowance is basically a salary for a postdoc. A mobility allowance is meant for covering private travels, accommodation, and so on. So this is basically also for a postdoctoral fellow for his own needs. And then there's a family allowance, but this is only when applicable. So in the portal, when applying, if a postdoc is in a marriage or any other equivalent status, or he or her has a child, then he is eligible for applying to this mobility family allowance. So only thing is that you need to click yes in the portal where the budget is calculated. And this will be 660 euros per month for a postdoctoral fellow who has these family relations. Long-term leave allowance and special needs allowance, for a purpose I put this in gray, as this is only when the issue arises and only when the project is ongoing, then these categories may be requested. So long-term leave allowance is basically for maternity or long-term sick leave, and special needs allowance is for a postdoc who has special needs and needs an assistant or some infrastructure that is required, and then it might be requested from the project, but only when the project is ongoing. The second part of the cost is institutional unit contributions, but this doesn't mean that this belongs to the institution. So the research, training, and networking costs are dedicated for different kind of so payments. So this is for the trainings, materials, lab materials, publication costs, attendance of conferences, all the travel related to the research, so traveling to secondments and so on. So this is basically to cover the needs of the action. So for the postdoc who is conducting this action, so this project. And then this part, management and indirect contributions, this is what the institution receives for managing the project, as the management is also needed. So this is it in general about these two parts of the budget. So as the call is not open, this is the picture from 2023. That numbers will be different. I couldn't provide you the actual photo because the call is still forthcoming, but just for you to see how in the portal this looks. So when applying to the postdoctoral fellowships, first of all, you need to tick if the researcher is eligible for family allowance, yes or no. Once it is checked yes, then this family allowance automatically calculates. If no, then there is 0 for the family allowance. You need to select duration of the fellowship. So for the European fellowship, normally it's 24 months, so 2 years, and the country is Latvia, so the host. And as far as you select the country coefficient is automatically put here, and all the money is automatically calculated. So you don't need to put anything else here. As I mentioned in few slides back, then now the country correction coefficient for Latvia is 85.6. So the numbers will be different for this call. Another thing when applying to postdoctoral fellowships that needs to bear in mind is that those fellows applying for a postdoctoral fellowship under Marijas Kirī program, but receiving a really high score, might be considered for funding from other sources. So what it means, so a postdoc is applying for European fellowship, so eligible is only European fellowship, global is not. So the hosting institution is in widening countries. So I will show you also the list of widening countries, but Latvia is also one of them. You have the host in widening country, you apply for the European fellowship, and the third thing is that you need to check the box in the portal when applying, where is the question, do you wish to participate in other fellowships? You need to have yes checked there, and only then you will have this opportunity for other fellowship. So next, there will be results announced under the Marijas Kirī program. If you have high enough score, you may be sent to ERA fellowship. So for consideration of funding under Vaidara budget. So you don't need to do anything. It will be done automatically. Only you need to do everything that is requested under the first step. So, and then the ranking will be done. And if you have enough score, then you might get 100% all the things that you put in your proposal. So all the action is the same, the money, the amount of EU contribution is all the same. So the only difference here would be if you receive an ERA fellowship, that officially the postdoc is not considered a Marijas Kirī fellow, as the budget is from Vaidara. So different budget. This is the only thing that is different here. But otherwise, the host is the same, the project is the same, the money is the same. Another funding opportunity is if you receive a seal of excellence. So this seal is for projects who receive 85% and more. In Latvia, we do have, for now, available funding, but unfortunately, the call will close in December. We'll see if we will have this further, as there's another agency responsible for this funding. But just for you to know, the Seal of Excellence is another opportunity for getting funding. A bit about the results. So last year was a surprise for everyone. Might be because of the generative AI or the political system in the world, but last year there were 17,000 applications in difference. In 2024, where we had up to 10,000. So the increase was huge. So the competition is getting higher and more intense. But that is why I will provide you with the training tomorrow. So what to put in the proposal to address all the aspects that are asked and scored. So for the last year, so the biggest competition, as you can see, is for the European fellowships. More than 15,000 proposals were submitted. So only 1,146 were funded. And for the global fellowships, this is also higher than previously, but still it's a bit lower. There were 1,168 proposals and 164 funded. So this is the general image for the last year. And there are some other things that I might tell you about the scoring and how the proposals look when the call is ending. So this is the table where you can see how the projects were scored, what was funded and what was not. So above there is this lower score for funding. So this is the minimum score that was needed last year to get funding. So this was a very high competition last year. The projects are ranked, first of all, by the type of the fellowship. So GF is global fellowship, and EF is European fellowship, and then by the panel. but we'll talk about this later. So what is a panel and how you can choose between one. And some more important things are here on, for me, it is right side. So the threshold to be considered for funding is 70% for this year on. So if we have someone who wants to reapply, so resubmit his or her proposal from the last year, so please make sure that this is above 80. As from this year on, there's a higher resubmission threshold. So those who received lower than 80 cannot resubmit this year. And as I already mentioned, you may receive Seal of Excellence if your proposal is over than 85%. So this is how the picture looks on the funded projects and the competition itself. So where to find funded projects if you want to take a look and see what thematics, what goals are set for the fellowships, maybe to check and compare what was studied and you want to propose something different or going beyond this topic. So there are few pages that I might suggest. So first of all is funding and tenders call page. You need to open the call page for a certain specific year, so 2021, 2022, 2023, 4, and 5. So under each call, at the very, very bottom, there is a list of funded projects. You might check them by the title. You might click on them and read the abstract and the objectives of the project. And you might also download all the list of funded projects. So the best thing here to check is, in my perspective, is to see what was funded in your topic. So read the abstract, read what were the objectives from other postdocs, and to have this feeling about what is happening in your field under Marijas Kirī Postdoctoral Fellowships. Just to have this feeling what others are studying here. And another page is Cordis result page. And here we start filling up with the 2025 projects also, as the grant agreements are signed. And here you have the list of also all the projects, but this is in a different form. In Cordis, you might also see the results, that the management plans or communication, dissemination, exploitation plans at the results page. You can see the duration, the host, and so on. So this is also useful, and you might also check. I think there was also a thematic that you may filter. So in terms to know what others are applying with, so Cordis page is also very good to navigate. And I think it's quite easy also. When we talk about Latvia, so who are those institutions who are attracting the most funding under Marijas Kirī program? So the interesting thing is here is that we have also companies in top 10. This is also the reason why I was dedicating this training mostly to to supervisors of postdoctoral fellows and project units, as we see that there's a lot of room for improvement for our institutions. And as you can see, University of Latvia is top 1, so they have for now the biggest amount of EU funding under Marijas Kirī, and this data is on January this year. I believe soon there will be another data available, as 2025 call is not under this statistics. Then Riga Technical University, I forgot how this is in English, but Institute of Organic Synthesis, I believe. Then the private university company, Riga Stadiņš University, another private company, University of Vidzeme company, and Ventspils Augstskola. So this doesn't seem a lot. That is why I believe we have a lot of work to improve these numbers, and I hope to help you in this case in attracting more funding under this program.